Okay, colleagues, I think we still have possibilities for discussions. We have to leave that. So about 30 minutes, so if you have any comments or questions.
I think what the students can also.
Students, your colleagues.
Michael.
It doesn't make sense to build nuclear plants and use nuclear plants. Are they efficient?
Yeah, but then I mean you have to count with 40 years or something like that. This is typical for coal power plants, for instance. You count with 40 years. That's a long time, really. In Germany, we don't need it. In Germany, we don't need it.
What's wrong with it? I know it sounds crazy, but what's wrong with nuclear plants? What's the problem with nuclear plants?
Well, you have nuclear waste. You have nuclear waste which is there for many, many thousands of years. So we are not speaking about hundreds of years. We are speaking about many thousands of years. And this is not so easy. You have to administrate. So imagine the old Romans. If they have had nuclear power plants, we would still have their waste and many thousand years in the future also. So it is difficult to administrate this radioactive waste. You also have radioactive problems extracting the uranium. You always have some radiation leakage. And of course, you have the danger of big accidents, as it happened in Japan. So
some countries are thinking about moving more towards nuclear power.
Some countries are thinking of
moving more towards.
There are countries, yes. We have everything now in the world. We have countries that say just phasing out and we stop the nuclear power. There are some countries thinking of starting it,
Including Indonesia.
Well, I just wondered basically why you didn't mention it.
Yeah.
You just excluded nuclear.
Yeah.
One reason I asked this was you excluded it from the discussion.
Because I think it's difficult to count on nuclear power because of the environmental problems. And you have also the proliferation problem that what happens maybe with you have dangerous material you produce. What can happen with this material? So this is an additional problem which doesn't have to do with possible accidents. And and such a disaster like in Japan, it's terribly expensive. So if you if you take into account this, then nuclear power is not cheap. Actually, about half a year ago, a new study was published in Germany, and the result was that for Europe at least, under the environmental regulations in Europe, nuclear power is more expensive than power from many renewable energy systems. This may be different in other countries where the regulations are not so strict, but I prefer to live in a country with strict regulations. Yeah.
Yes, I was very interested in this research, and I would like to ask you what is the first step with all this suggestion that you have. And maybe we can do such as for the building, for instance, so we can start from there.
You refer to this last slide.
Right.
Yeah. It depends also on you, not only on me. I mean, we have to form working groups, and we have to figure out together who is doing what, and where can we start quite specific projects. I think some are easier to start, others are not so easy to start. And if you have a specific idea, then I think we should sit together and with Ivo Evita, of course, and we should think how to realize it. I think that what we could do quite. I would like to. What I would like to do quite soon is, for instance, some project on campus, in order to have something which is visible. That's always nice. And for instance, what I could imagine, but it's just my idea. We have to discuss it together. Island system, PV island system, powering some e-motorbike, for instance. And we can use the e-motorbike for our ways we have to do short ways, for instance. I could imagine something like this. I think this is quite easy to realize. Yeah. But we have to sit together and to discuss it. Yeah.
Questions or comments from students?
Measurement also. I think measurement is also quite easy to do. Solar measurement on our roof. This is something which can be done quite easily. Wind is not so useful because we don't have wind here. But last weekend I was in the national park Ujung Kulon. It was so windy there, 2 days, both days. So I thought, oh, that's a good place. So we could make a wind measurement there. Yeah.
In explaining the PV versus
CSP, concentrating solar power. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you mentioned that it's easier to contain or store heat,
Yes.
power in the form of heat
Yes.
instead of the batteries.
Yeah.
Can you speak more of that? I'm just curious.
Yes. Actually, I worked for several years in project about concentrating solar power. So you refer to this slide here. Yeah. Okay. Concentrating solar power means you concentrate solar radiation with a mirror system onto some receiver. You have a heat transfer fluid there flowing. In this case, there are different types of such power plants. Here in this case, we have a parabolic trough power plant. There's flowing a heat transfer medium here in this tube. This is heated up to nearly 400 degrees Celsius. And then steam is generated and a conventional steam turbine is used. Now, in between, you can install a heat storage, which is done in commercial systems with molten salts. So there's molten salt. So this salt is heated up to nearly 400 degrees. It's stored in big containers, really big ones, and then the stored heat is used over the evening hours. At least in Spain, there is one power plant which is operated all the time because it has a very big storage system. Then you can use this stored heat to operate the plant. And to store heat is much easier and cheaper than to store electric energy. That's the point.
So with the declining price of PV cells, do you think CSP will be able to match the declining price? Or?
I mean, it depends. I think for some countries, CSP doesn't have any sense anymore. But there are other countries, and I traveled several times in the context of the projects I worked in. I traveled several times to North African countries. These countries have some of them have problems because they don't have own fossil fuel resources. Morocco is such a case. Morocco is very interested in renewable energies at the moment. Jordan, another case. They don't have water, only very little water. They have a lot of desert. So they don't have so much hydropower capacity. They don't have biomass because it's too dry. Biomass there is very scarce. So what options do they have to deliver power on demand? I mean, they can build PV power plants. They can build wind turbines, but they need electricity to balance the electricity generation. They need an option. And for them, concentrating solar power plants is an option, although it's more expensive. But for them, it's an option. But I think for many other countries, it's not so interesting. If they have hydropower, if they have biomass, and so on, then maybe CSP is not so interesting. Anyway, you need for CSP a very good solar resource. For instance, here, solar radiation is not bad here, but it's not sufficient for CSP because the atmosphere is not clear enough. You need a lot of direct radiation, not diffuse radiation, because only direct radiation is possible to be concentrated. So yeah, for Indonesia, for Java, it's not an option. Maybe in eastern Indonesia, I'm not sure. I haven't seen the radiation data. Maybe there it can be an option.
Pollution in Jakarta makes it cloudy.
But yeah, it's impossible. Exactly, it's impossible. You can use PV here. Yeah, that's possible, but you cannot apply CSP.
Question, Matthias. Can you explain why the biogas cost is the highest? And we compare with other energy resources, renewable energy resources.
Yeah, basically because of the production of the biomass in Germany. This may be different in other contexts. If you have a lot of bio waste, then the situation can be completely different because you anyway have the waste. But in Germany, the largest part of the biogas, of the electricity generated from biogas, uses bioenergy plantations. Maize plantation, very typical. This is not really a good development, in my opinion. But yeah, it's like this. Yeah, in Germany it's more expensive. Yeah.
And the other thing is, how about the area needed for the PV system? I mean, we need a huge area. It's the same if we use bioenergy for plantation.
Yeah,
We need
PV.
also a huge area.
For PV, you need much less. Much less. Yeah. Yeah. This was the comparison we made in a publication. We published this in July, I think. It was just July. No, I was here. In June, just 2 weeks before coming here. Yeah, this is the comparison. So this is the solar energy you need when you use a PV panel, and this is the solar energy when you use a maize plantation.
And if you compare with other energy, for example, wind.
Yeah, this is more difficult to compare. I mean, wind energy.
The area just for our imagination, if we can imagine how big is the area for example, to provide electricity for, let's say, ESG city.
Yeah.
Small city. How big?
Yeah.
We have to have the area for
Also,
PV
yeah.
system.
In Germany, it's comparable. The area when you have a wind park. The area the wind park covers, or the wind park, the energy that the wind park generates on the area where it is built, is more or less the energy you would get with a PV plant on the same area, more or less the same. Yeah? Very similar. Under German climate conditions, German radiation, which is lower than here, we have about 40% less solar radiation than here. And the wind we have there, which is much more than here. But when you have a wind power plant, you can have a double usage of the ground. Because what happens, normally a wind park is built on agricultural land. So around the wind turbines you have your normal agricultural activity. And so you have a double usage of the ground. This is actually quite good. There's a new tendency now also to build wind turbines in forests.